What's going on YouTube? Super Insane 18 here, and I am bringing you an updated Floowandereeze deck profile now that I finally got my hands on the advent of adventure, so it's better late than never. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Starting things off with the main deck, we are playing the 1 of Token. This is just a good way to recur our own resources, definitely mandatory at 1. And then we're following that up with 2 copies of Stree. I've seen a lot of people cut this to 1, which makes no sense to me because, I mean, Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer is a card, and being able to just normal summon the Stree and get rid of the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer after they've used it is honestly really good, because then they're forced to bring back either Celestial or Dasher or whatever hero monster they're playing, and you just get rid of the DPE, which is a recurring threat and a very big card for this format, so I think 2 of this is definitely necessary. Then we have 3 copies of Eaglin. I think this is the best of the little Floowandereeze just because it gets you into your level 7 or highers, meaning that this searches you your Empin, it searches you your Ryza, your Miss Valley Apex Avion. Definitely better than the Robina, but the Robina is still important because it gets you into this. But if there's a card that needs to be like stopped to just shut down a Floowandereeze combo, it's the Eaglin. So I think Eaglin is the most important of them. Then we do have the 3 Robina because, like I said, it gets you into your Eaglin, but not just that, it gets you into any of your little Floowandereeze as well as your barrier statue, since it is a level 4 or lower wing beast that it searches. So you definitely still want to max out on this as well, just because it gets your combo rolling. We are playing 2 copies of Empin. Now, a lot of people are really on the fence of whether or not the correct ratio of Empin is 1 or 2. If you watch one of my previous videos, the 4 must-know, or 4 more must-know Floowandereeze combos, you'll see here that a good friend of mine actually convinced me to play the double Empin, just because it allows you to do a very good 1-card Robina combo that gets you into double Empin and barrier statue, so I think that it's necessary for that reason. We are playing the 1 of Barrier Statue because it's just a win button. A lot of people are cutting this. I really don't know why. I think that being able to summon the Barrier Statue in today's format is just absolutely insane. We are playing the 1 Miss Valley Apex Avion and the 1 Rise of the Mega Monarch. These are the big ones other than Empin that you go into. You normally don't go into them turn 1, though. You can usually go into the Apex Avion turn 1, maybe, depending on what you've got. But the Rise is really going to be a turn 2 play, since you're going to use it to spin cards anywhere from 2 to 3, depending on whether or not you tribute a wind. But you're probably tributing a wind because Eaglin, so you're going to usually get 3 spins off of that Ryza. And then for the end of the monsters, we're only playing 3 actual hand traps in Dimension Shifter. I think Dimension Shifter is a very good card, or a very good meta call for this format. Just about every opposing deck other than Floowandereeze is going to lose to a Dimension Shifter. So if you're only playing 1 hand trap in this deck, this is definitely the one to play. A lot of decks right now can play through stuff like Ash or Habetler or, you know, those generic hand traps that you normally have. So I think that this one is the card to use because banishing all of your opponent's resources is definitely game over for a lot of the current decks. On to the spells, we are playing 1 copy of Called by the Grave, 1 copy of Floowandereeze and the Unexplored Winds, and 1 copy of Terraforming. These are all the 1-ofs in the deck. They don't really need to be explained. I think a lot of people sleep on the Unexplored Winds, not realizing that it says you contribute any card that your opponent controls, so you can get rid of good like Floodgates or anything like that, depending on what they have. Definitely a very good card. It also gets you advantage by being able to essentially magical mallet your hand. Really good card there. We did cut the Book of Moon down to 2 copies. I did have it at 3, but I really wanted to keep this as a 40-card deck, and I don't really think that Book of Moon is as important as it once was, now that we have the new Advent of Adventure. So for those of you that don't know what Advent of Adventure does, it's essentially a buffed up Rhoda for the Floowandereeze archetype specifically. You can banish a wing beast from your hand or field, then add a Floowandereeze monster from your deck to your hand and gain 500, not only allowing you to win in time, but also play around hand traps the way that Book of Moon was letting people do. If your opponent has like Effect Veiler or Infinite Impermanence and they're going to use that on whatever bird you normal summon, you can use the effect of Advent and get rid of that bird to add a different bird, and since that bird is no longer on field, it will still resolve because Effect Veiler or Infinite Impermanence, cards like that, lost its target. Same thing that people were doing with Book of Moon. I activate Robina, you Veiler it, I Book of Moon, put it face down. It still resolves, but the good part about that is that now it's no longer on field to get tributed face down, so it goes to the banished instead. If you didn't know, when you Book of Moon the little birds and then you tribute them, they only get banished if they leave the field face up. So since it was face down when you tributed, it wouldn't get banished. This kind of solves that issue. Honestly, a phenomenal card. Then we are playing 3 of the Magnificent map. I don't think this needs to be explained, but just so you guys know, this card is absolutely insane. Gives you additional normal summons, gets you to chain block your first normal summon. Honestly, just an incredible card. Deck would be severely at a disadvantage without it. Between this and the Advent, I think this deck is definitely one of the top meta contenders. We are playing 3 Pot of Duality because we do not special summon in this deck, so it is just kind of free to add advantage. Same as the Pot of Prosperity, the extra deck does not matter, so we are able to just throw away those resources for additional cards. And the reason that I like these two instead of using the Extravagance is because these two work together. If you play Prosperity, you can't play Extravagance, and vice versa. If you play Extravagance, you can't really play Prosperity because they lock each other out of it. And I think that being able to pick one card that you want is better than 2 random cards. But I know that a lot of people are on a budget, so you can replace this with Extravagance. I just think that if you have the option to play Prosperity, Prosperity is the better card. Then this is where a lot of people are going to get lost, but let me explain it to you guys. For the traps, we have 3 copies of Dreaming Town, and now I know a lot of people are going to say that this is stupid because Empin can search it, but let me tell you, I was talking to a very, very good player, and he sold me on the 3 Dreaming Town for the reason that it's what allows you to play through hand traps. If you open multiple birds, and let's say you open like Robina and Eaglin, you normal the Robina or you normal the Eaglin, and they just stop you. They Veiler you, they Ash you, they do whatever, and you're not able to get rid of their hand trap with your Called or your Advent or whatever. If you hard open into the Dreaming Town, it lets you keep playing. Because now what happens is you set the Dreaming Town, and then on your opponent's turn, it's almost like they didn't stop you because you're going to use it, normal summon the other bird, get your combo rolling, and then you don't need to search the Dreaming Town. Once you get the Empin, you can search the map or the Unexplored Winds for your follow-up on the next turn. So I think that having this at 3 is definitely the correct ratio, because then no matter what your opponent does to you on your turn, you're still able to play the game. And I just think that that's actually crazy, being able to just not care if your opponent hand traps you, because this essentially says your opponent's turn is your turn as well. So I think that's really crazy and definitely worth running at 3. I've been testing it and it's been absolutely insane. So before you guys call me crazy in the comments, just give it a try. Worst case scenario, you don't like it and you put it back to 1 and you put some other cards in, but it's fine. I promise you, if you test this at 3, you will not regret it. And the last cards are the 3 Infinite Impermanents. I just think that this card is really good for the format. It is a hand trap technically, but it's just a really good way to be able to stunt your opponent. If you need to, you can use it going first or second, so definitely a very good card. But that's going to do it for the main deck. It is 40 cards. Let's go ahead and show you guys what the extra is. Now, before getting into the extra, I actually did just want to talk to you guys about the cards that you see on screen right now, because I know that a lot of people are going back and forth on whether or not they should be played, and I just want to kind of give you guys a little bit of a breakdown of it. Unironically, the Snowl is actually pretty good, not for the Book of Moon effect, because I don't really care. I'm playing 3 Dreaming Town, I can do that anyway, but for the effect of the 3 normal summons. And the reason that that's actually insane is because it's the only Floowandereeze monster effect that doesn't lock you out of the extra deck. So you can use this effect to summon 3 little birds, and as long as you're not doing those little bird effects, you still have full reign access of your extra deck, which is a little crazy, because there are some cards in the extra deck that are just really stupid when it comes to this deck. You can play things like Friedrich and just special another bird and link climb even higher. You can play things like Shuregg to get a non-target banish. You can play things like the Wind Charmer link and resummon your opponent's Baron if you cleared it, and it's honestly just really kind of crazy. So I think that Snowl has a decent amount of utility. I personally just haven't really found a way to fit it into the deck yet, because I do still want to play the double Empin, and I feel like that's way too many big birds if you're playing double Empin, Mist Valley, Ryza, and the Snowl, but it is something that I definitely wanted to mention. And then for the Samorg engine, it's really just a way of guaranteeing that your little birds never get ashed. You don't really care about the other hand traps again because you have the Advent of Adventure, but this will pretty much make it so that your little birds can never be ashed. As long as you open one of these and the little bird, you'll be able to get both of your little birds effects off, because you can chain block the normal summon with this effect to additional normal summon, and then you can chain block the other effect of the second normal summon by the effect to add the field spell. So definitely worth playing. Again, I just didn't have the room for it because I really do think that 3 Dreaming Town is the way to go. But I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an honorable mention and explain this to you. Definitely good cards, and if you're playing it, by all means play it. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't. I just didn't have the room in this particular build. Now, moving on to the extra, we are playing a small package for the Nadir engine, or the Dogmatic engine. If your opponent Maximuses you, you're going to go ahead and send the Natis and the Nova, get a pop, and be able to summon your Makaba. This is really the only part of the extra deck that's important, unless you're playing the Snowl. Because like I just said in that little cutaway, the Snowl actually gives you access to your extra deck. So I did build the extra deck as if Snowl was going to be in it, just so that you guys know what that looks like. But realistically, the extra deck doesn't matter, because because it's just prosperity fodder. You're never really going to use it, but this is for the Dogmatica matchup. We are playing one copy of Psyframe Lord Omega, again, really just for the Dogmatica matchup. If they manage to Maximus you multiple times, you can be able to recur resources with the Omega. We are playing two Lyrilusks, the Recital Starling and the Ensemble Robin. This is really good because it can actually just search you for another bird, so like if you're doing the Snowl line of play, you can overlay two birds into this, search another bird, link into the Ferrigy, and then special the one you just summoned off the Ferrigy, and it just kind of gets you more resources. So it is a little bit of a extender there, and then this is just able to bounce cards if you end up ending on this, because let's say you use the Snowl and you're not able to get the game, you can turn some little birds into this, and it just gives you a little bit of interruption on your opponent's turn. And I did lie, we are actually playing a third Lyrilusk, but it is part of the Zeus engine with Downard and Zeus. This is just to be able to attack directly, so you can use your two little birds, swing directly, plop down the Downard, plop down the Zeus, and get multiple board wipes on your opponent's turn. We are playing one Linkuriboh, one Anima, and one Almirage. These are just the good generic Link ones for the deck. Linkuriboh doesn't need explaining. A lot of people are not going to anticipate the Anima. Like, even if you're not using Snowl, if you end your opponent's turn on a little bird, and they have something that they were stupid enough to put under the extra zone, you can go ahead and just Anima suck it up, and they're just not going to expect it, so it's really good that way. And then Almirage is just Almirage. We are playing two of the Tri-Brigade Link monsters, like I said, the Ferrigy and the Shureg. These are just utility if you are playing this now. You're realistically never going to use them otherwise. And then the last one that we have is the Wind Charmer. Again, this is just really cool to special summon your opponent's Baron. I think that it's actually just really cheeky. I did do that once while I was testing online. I was able to clear my opponent's Baron with like an Empen because it was able to, it used its negate already. I attacked, I lowered its attack with the Empen effect, and then I linked away into the Wind Charmer and got their Baron on my side of the field, so just kind of cheeky. But that's going to be it for the extra decks, so there you guys have it. And that's going to be my take on the Floowandereeze deck profile. I know that there are definitely a lot of things that people are going to disagree with, but I just urge you to please give it a try. I've been testing it, and it's been absolutely crazy, so you guys know the deal. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the video, share with your friends, and if you want to see the side deck for this deck, it is posted on my Patreon at the lowest tier. So for just $1, you can not only see the side deck, but you can support the channel in a way that I would never be able to tell you how much I fully appreciate. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.